So we are creeping closer and closer to the Halloween season, and because of that, I always get that feeling, that itch, so to speak, to either play horror games like Dead by Daylight, or just straight up read a very creepy series. Because last year, I decided to start like Sweet Home and Shotgun Boy, and I have that same feeling to where I wanted to find something in a similar vein. I wanted to find like something either affiliated with zombies, maybe a slasher or something like that. I wanted a really creepy story that had more of a darker undertone to it, which eventually led me to this series called Zombie Slasher. And as you can see, it's very new. It only has 10 chapters right now, and I will just straight up say that I have read all these chapters, and it's good. This is good. Now, it's very early, so we don't really know exactly how the story will go from this point onward, because it's too early to tell just exactly how the overarching story really will be. But I will say, from the content that these first 10 chapters give, it's enough to really just do a good first impression. So let's talk about it. So the first chapter, it basically introduces the main concept of how zombies have taken over South Korea, which, I mean, is a common concept with any zombie story to where a zombie virus happens, it takes over, and as I've said with other reviews and first impressions in the past, it's not necessarily just like, if it's cliche or not, it's how the cliche is used, because the very setting is just obviously post-apocalyptic zombie setting. That is the world. But how is that world used? What makes it different from the rest? And is it going to be engaging enough to actually warrant even wanting to stick with and reading? Personally, I think so. So, the first chapter introduces basically this whole concept of a bunch of people being rounded up to fight a bunch of zombies. And they have to go within the different cities of South Korea, and I'm assuming this is probably a project that happens around the world, not probably just in South Korea, but probably many other countries within this verse do the exact same thing. But pretty much there is a population crisis, to where, like, there's too many people, and there's not enough mouths to feed. Like, they don't have enough food to feed everybody. Too many mouths. And so they need to get rid of population. They have to find a way to be able to lower the population down without straight up going full-on Darwinism, so to speak. They want to figure out a way. And so the government of these different countries got together and are like, there's a smart way to do this. We could make a program to where, like, for every zombie an individual kills and have proof of it, we give them a certain amount of money. And if they collect a lot of the zombies, like proof, maybe noses or whatever, and bring them back, they can be rich. They can buy a house, live comfortably for the rest of their lives, which our main character here is technically an example of that. His very goal is to kill enough zombies, and he killed 8,000 zombies. He literally built a pile, as you can see. He killed 8,000 zombies in one night to have enough money to be able to buy a house for himself, to be able to live comfortably, so to speak, and never have to worry about not having a roof over his head. A very simplistic dream, but very relatable, especially with a world to where, having a house and having food is not common. And so it makes sense why people would be willing to risk their life fighting zombies to do that, which this is where the government plot comes in, to where, like, once again, they have to have some form of population control. So what better way than to have people that are willing to go out there and fight zombies, think that they're, strong, get killed by zombies, and just join them, overwhelming horde of zombies. That's effectively population control, but also people that do survive, theoretically, will be able to strengthen their society. So it's a win-win in both situations. But in this case, that's not exactly what happened. Our main male character, as I said, I already said his objective. His goal is to have a house. Well, he kills all, like enough zombies to be able to have a house. He kills 8,000 of them. And the sun rises and all that, and you can just see that he's very happy. He's happy with himself. And it's just like, man, he killed a lot. And I'll talk more about his physical strength and all that in a second. But after all this is said and done, and he manages to do that, and he collects his money, the government turns on him and tries to turn him into a zombie. Yeah, that's literally what happens with Chapter 2, to where, like, he goes into his house that he rightfully got after killing that many zombies, and he gets infected by zombie blood. They planted there for him to turn into a zombie. And you're probably wondering why. Why did they do this? Okay, why would they try to turn him into a zombie? Well, they didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to actually give up land. They just wanted to get rid of population. So that's where the scumbaggery kind of comes in. So they wanted to get rid of him, basically, and, you know, when you are getting turned into a zombie, that's a death sentence. Like, I mean, this is a common thing within any story. I mean, when there's zombies within a story, the big main objectives of it is to not turn into a zombie and to potentially find a cure. That's the two objectives, okay? And so you're probably wondering, wait a minute, so you're telling me the main character got infected on the second chapter, what's going to happen? Well, I was kind of curious as well, because I was like, is he going to become like a hybrid? Is he going to become an entity that is half zombie, half human or something? That's what I wondered, because like the way this went, I was just like, it could become anything. But at the end of the chapter, like when we get into chapter 3 and 4, he actually gets a cure. The CEO of this corporation called like this corporation has slashers that are effectively meant to kill zombies, you know, gives him a cure to the zombie virus, and he's A-okay. And this really took me by surprise, because a cure for zombies and stuff is just, that's not normal. Like, that's legitimately not normal. It's very, very pricey, and apparently the vaccine is like, according to the pricing, was like 300 million USD. That's a lot. But to be fair to the very, very rich, that's not that bad, honestly. And so you can imagine where the story's going with. Basically, the story is about characters trying to live in a world that it lacks money, lacks food, lacks housing, but there's rich people that keep getting richer and keep living a very comfortable life because they never really need to deal with the zombie virus. They never need to deal with anything like that. And episode 10 kind of brings this up to even more darker levels, with at the end of it, you basically have to where, like, there is legit zombies sold on the stage. Like, here, I want to show you real quick. So, let me go up. Yeah, here it is. So, there's legit zombies of, like, idols and famous actresses and stuff found, and they're being sold to the rich. And our main character does not like this. He's like, look, I understand you all are scumbags, you know, being able to waste food or do whatever you want with money, but the fact that, you know, you're doing this to zombies and all that, it's, like, really gross. But on top of that, it's just like, you know, our job is to kill zombies, not capture them and, like, do whatever's going on here. It's just like, yo, what the hell? So, the story takes a very radical shift with this chapter, and the main character steps up in front of all these big head honchos, powerful people within society, and just gets rid of the zombies right then and there, and calls them out for it. He straight up calls them out. And, you know, the chapter ends off where he basically upsets an entire mafia/thug group that, you know, is making money off of this. So you can imagine where this is probably going to go. And this was the latest chapter. So, overall, there is human versus human conflict, obviously. There is zombie conflict. And there's even more interesting stuff with zombies that were introduced to where, like, zombies can be hybrids to where they might be a little bit different and have more intelligence than a regular, you know, zombies like brains or whatever. They can be different. And I like that. So there is already hints in the early chapters of hybrids and stuff. So you're not going to have the classic zombie. And you already have stuff like this too with the human v human conflict with the rich and all that. It does have the makings of a very unique story, depending on what direction it wants to take. Now, it can fall down into a cliche route or be generic, but it does have possibility of being very, very good. I like the MC, and I want to talk about him and his strength a little bit, because clearly when you take a look at this image and you see that, you know, there's a pile of zombie corpses here, it's like, that's superhuman, and I want to talk about that. So, he killed 8,000 zombies in one night. Not one day, in one night. And he did this without really, I think, breaking a sweat. I mean, he probably was a little bit tired, but from what we've seen so far, he doesn't really seem to have like an end to his stamina. He has a bottomless pool of his stamina to where he's able to do just a feat like this, which is absolutely ridiculous. And it makes me wonder exactly about his biology. Maybe he was already a zombie or something to begin with before all this happened. And, you know, if the zombie, you know, cure came into play, you know, if it didn't actually, would he have become a full-on hybrid? I mean, we saw examples within Chapter 2 and 3 that he was resisting the zombie virus for a good long while. So maybe he's naturally resistant to it. That's a possibility I wanted to bring up. But his physical feats are legitimately ridiculous for him to be able to do this. And I will say the action sequences, the way they're drawn, look really good. Like, beautiful. But, Yeah, I wanted to talk about this series because I discovered it. I read 10 chapters. It was a very quick read, and I know some of you might be interested in that because I know it is that season, that time of the year now where people are looking for creepy stories and stuff. So if you are interested in zombie stories or something like that, do give this a read. It's pretty enjoyable. But okay, I will leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to read this series, link is in the description. It will help me out if you click on it. But be safe, stay healthy, everyone. Chibi out.